Hello friends, my name is Chad from Makers Make a Change, a program of the Neil Squire Society. Today I'm going to build the light proximity switch. This is a proximity switch that detects activation through changes in the light. So it allows someone to sort of activate a switch without actually touching it. So I have some of my 3D print parts here, which I'm going to put aside. I have my kit of components and I have my tools. Today I'll be using soldering iron. We'll be using screwdriver, a little Phillips screwdriver. Focus it. And some pliers and flush cutters, as well as some wire strippers. I have a couple different pairs that I'll probably be using. One for the cut in half, getting the larger bit out, and one for stripping the smaller wires. So let's get started. Now I like to take all my kit components and put them in a little Tupperware. I find it a little easier to see, a little less likely for me to drop something on the floor this way, because it's little parts. It can be hard to find. So I'm on the Neil Squire website here. I've looked up the light proximity switch and I was working through the instructions that are on the website. So you can follow along. Now, your PCB may be a different color. Mine's red, or sorry, mine's purple. Yours may be red, green, or some other color. So we're doing through-hole soldering. That means we will put components through the hole, flip it over, and solder the other side. Okay? Now, we start with the capacitors. Now these little fellas come in different shapes, or sorry, different values. They are not all the same. Now mine have been kindly pre-labeled for me. So it's trying to save me from making a mistake here. So for step one, I'm looking for the 33. I'm going to line these all up so I get them together here. Here we go. Yeah. So we're going to be putting our capacitors in first. If you've not soldered, we have a great little video that gives a sort of a 101 into sort of through-hole soldering. Yeah, I have my iron set for about 325, 330 degrees. And as always, let's get started. I'm just going to clean up my tip. And I'm going to tin the tip. A little solder on there. It's nice and silvery. Okay, so first piece. And yeah, there's a number of these, so you want to make sure you get the right thing in the right spot, or it's a very quick way to have a project that does not work. Okay, I'm going to cut that piece out. Put through here. Now, it does not matter which way the capacitor faces the board, but it does matter to get the right one in the right spot. So I'm going to pop this one through. That's my 33. I'll pop through one of my 10s as well. Oops. Okay. So I'm on to step 5 here. What I'm going to do, just as I put these through, just bend the legs on the other side. That stops them from falling out as I go through. Okay, there you go. See? Staying there quite nice that way. Okay. My legs are bent out a little bit on that fellow there, as you can see. So I'm just going to straighten them out with my needle nose pliers here for a sec so I can get through that component hole. See if that'll do it. We do need to get the parts fairly flush to the board so it all fits in the case. I don't want anything kind of sticking up more than necessary, so that when I do the final assembly, the parts come together. There we go. It's nice and snug. Put those legs out there so that doesn't go through. Step 6, another one of these 33ers. forgot about you, fella. Sorry. Haven't soldered anything yet. No, I skipped the steps. So there we go. Step 1. Get him in there. Okay, now maybe a little hard to see in the video, so I can get closer into focus here. There we go. So you can see the capacitors are all in there. And those spots with the value of the capacitor, it's actually written right on the board there for you. Make your life a little bit easier as you walk through. So there we go. They're all in. Okay, so I'm going to flip over. There's 5 in total. Again, make sure you get in the right spot. So let's solder these all in. My iron's nice and heated up. Tin my tip. So I'm going to apply a little heat to the joint. Add some solder. There we go. You can see nice solid joint all the way around. No air, no hole. The tire pad's covered and soldered. I'm happy with that. Let's do these next ones here. Okay. Put my iron back down there. Okay. There you go. Looks like joints are all well formed. None of them have bridged to their neighbors at all. Looks pretty good. Actually, you have a tough time seeing onto your board. Using your cell phone cameras with a magnifying glass can be a big help. So I'm going to cut all these little extra leads off. Don't want those sticking out, getting in the way of closing the case. So I'll trim that all off. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple resistors in here now. Now, similarly, my little kit, a couple different resistors, and to the untrained eye, they may look the same, but they're not. And the instruction manual does a pretty good job trying to show you the difference of these. So, the first one I'm going to put in is which one here? Red, brown, black, orange, gold. Which is this fellow here. Brown, black, orange, gold. In your manual, it's part R2. For those more technically inclined, this is the 10K ohm resistor. Now the board's fairly well marked in terms of where this is going to go. If I take a look at it here, I can see it says R2 right there. Just going to pop him in. And again, I want to make sure this component gets really flush with the board. Okay, I don't want it to be standing up at a weird angle. It won't fit, so I just hold the resistor kind of right at the edge, bend the leg down, so right to the edge of the resistor. Go. I'll stick my little friend here, right through. Holes. And again, bend the legs out so it doesn't fall through, and you can see it's nice and flush to my board. And I'm going to put his neighboring buddy in here. I think it's a 200 ohm resistor. Just want to confirm your colors here. They can be a little confusing because they do look similar, especially with any sort of color. This issue is tight, but that's a red, black, yellow, gold. Red, black, yellow, gold. Okay. That's the thing. Bend it at the parts. Down. Pour the legs out. And I'm going to solder those two bits in there now. Oh, I'll put the diode in first. Okay, the diode. So that's this fell. Now, word of warning to the wise, to the uninitiated. Yeah, focus on before we hear, right? So on the background. The diode, you can see it has a gray marking on one side, and that isn't trivial. The capacitors doesn't matter which way they go in, the resistor doesn't matter which way it goes in. They have to go to the right spot, but they can face either direction. This one matters. Okay, so let's just double check with our instructions here. Same thing, I'm going to do my little band now. My kit, someone's trying to pre-warn me by marking the tape on the ends here. I'll get those little pieces off so I can get through my board. Okay. And what I'll do is I'm going to point this gray piece towards the center of the board, I believe, towards C5. Oh, sorry, the gray piece gets pointed towards the C5 marking, so away from the center of the board. And again, you can actually see on the PCB, there's a bit of a line trace here that you can see there of the gray marking underneath. Get a look at that nice and flush, so push that down and in through, pop the legs out. There we go. Let's solder in the diode and the resistors here. No, just making sure that I didn't bridge those two joints there. They're very close together, but they are not touching. At least they won't be once I trim those legs. It's another reason to trim the legs. Keeps looking nice and stops those metal bits from connecting in an unintended way. Okay, let's take a little peek here. The joints are in good shape. Connect to the board well. Let's trim off these extra legs. So that piece did come up a little bit. So it's okay there. So I can see that one resistor is up a little higher than I would like. So I'm going to do my best to get that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up this joint here and push on a little bit. That should reflow the solder. And then it should sink through, and then the solder dries. Should go to the races here. So let's see how that goes for us. There we go, got that side. Just gotta be careful, you gotta be a little quick because you know that heat does transfer from the soldering iron. So same thing here. I'm gonna try to heat up that joint. There we go. A little bit flusher now. I'm a little happier with that. Okay. Let's get that little piece of extra nodule there. All right. Trucking along. Start in, cut the leads. Now we're going to put in the LED. Can always be a little tricky. Which way is the positive side? Which way is the negative side? You want to go the right way so you know it works properly. Now one leg is longer than the other. This is taped onto here. So the longer leg is going to point towards the center of our circuit board here. Okay, so the longer leg is going to go through the plus sign. The negative line, could do something a little more fine than my fat finger here. So the positive leg, the longer leg, will go towards the center. Smaller leg will go to the negative sign here. See if I can get this out of this little piece of tape container here. Okay, that's my longer leg, so pop that through. And again, go and get this as flat as the board I can. You can see it's like right flush to it. There we go. Pretty happy with that. Solder it in. There we go. Happy with that. Legs off. Gonna put our first sensor in here. Which in my kit, you got all these little pieces of foam. So the first sensors I'm going to do are these fellows right here. Okay. The first one's going to go right up to the tip here. Oh, there's a distinguishing mark here. So it may be very hard to see in the video. Well, actually, it comes up pretty well. So you can see on my diode here, one has got sort of a white tip, a white line along the end. So I want to line that here with the board with this white dot piece pointing away from C1. Okay. So let's line up here so I got it in the instructions. Okay. Yep, happy with that. It's in there. You know, the instructions has got some tape going in there to kind of hold it in because the legs are a little short to bend. Tape's a great little tool for this sort of stuff. Got a little black electrical tape here myself. Okay, so tape that piece in. Here we go. What's actually doing? Solder this fella in here. There you go. Oh, looking good. Okay. So similarly, there's the other little diode. Okay, now again, it can be a little tricky to see, but there is a sort of a white band on this far edge here. And that white band, if I line out this piece here, see it's marked on the PCB as well, it will face down, away from the resistor towards the capacitor. Same thing, I'll put a little piece of tape there, keep it from popping out as I flip it over. Beauty. Alright, let's get rid of my tape. There you go. There we go. Stick you aside for later. Maybe I'll usually again hold something in place. Okay, I'm going to put the MOSFETs on now. Now these go right by our LED light. MOSFETs on this little piece of foam I have. These two fellows right there. Now these will probably sit a little higher on the PCB, and the legs are kind of indicated. See, those ones are quite skinny. And these ones are bridged on the one side. See that? Those ones are connected. These ones are not. So I can help you orientate these. So the side that is connected more, go towards the LED. Yeah, you may not have this problem, but I got to bend my legs in a little bit to get through those through holes there. Now they do sit in quite snug. It's nice. So again, the piece where it's bridged together faces the LED. Okay. Next up, I'm going to put in the IC1. Is that right? Yeah, this fella here. The AMP app. Okay. So for those of you following along with the instructions, we are now getting to step 33. Now, my legs are, again, they're kind of spidered out a little bit. I'm not sure you can see that. They're not quite parallel with each other. So I'm going to use my needle nose just to help get them nice and parallel, make it easier to get on my board. So what I really don't want to do is mangle it and snapping those legs off, because then I'm in a world of trouble. I need a new part. So I'm just going to very gently bend those legs in just a touch. So I bend them in just a touch, and I'm just supporting the lead components with my hand there. And orientation does matter. You can see on my PCB board here, there's a little white dot mark, and that's meant to correspond. It's a little dimple looking part on this piece here. Okay, so I'm gonna line up the dimple. And go, got it through. Now that piece I feel is probably gonna fall out once I flip it over, so I'm gonna use a little, my friend, tape there, keep it in place. Gonna flip things over. I'm going to solder all those components in. Okay, how are we doing? There we go. Now it's getting a little wobbly. If you find that it's wobbly, a little difficult to work with, you can always use a clamp or a third hand to kind of keep it still. I'm okay right now by putting a little pressure on with my hand that's holding the solder, kind of keep it still in place. And just be careful, you can see there's little trace lines there on the board. You don't want to scorch those with your iron, break the circuit. There we go, go like that, and I'll do these 8 pieces here for the AMP app. Very nice. Okay. There we go. Very quickly, my little bag of components is tricking away here. The battery holder. Now this is a little tricky piece that we're doing here. Okay, so let's just walk through it before we do it here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some pre-soldering onto stuff so we can do a bit of a surface mount. So we usually add a bit of solder to the components individually first, align the parts, heat it up, and that helps the solder bond together. Okay, so it's kind of a drop down. So it's not through hole soldering here, we're doing a bit of surface mount soldering. So let's take this out of his bag. Okay, here we go. So, here we are. We're going to flip the part over and tin the middle pads with solder. So I'm going to pre-do these pads out here. That was quite the, there we go, it's a little easier to see. So I'm going to do these metal pads out here and out there. Prop those with solder. Similarly on our board here, a little solder just on those pads there and there. And then we'll heat up the parts when it's on and it'll sink on. You just want to make sure when you do that, you got it facing the right way. That's not the right way, it's with the LED. This way, just line it up like the instructions. These little fork pieces will be right there. So when I solder it, it'll line up like that. But I need to put the solder on those parts first and do the surface mount soldering, which is great. Let's do that. Okay, so I'll put a little solder on this pad here. So I'm going to heat this up and I'm kind of painting it on there a little bit. A nice little shiny metal. There we go. Same thing. Great. That looks great. See a nice little bubble of clear solder there. And heat up will sink right onto that pad quite well. I'll put a little bit on here as well, just a touch. Solder likes to bond to solder. There we go. Okay. again, let's just double check with our instructions here. Make sure things are facing the right way. So with our battery holder, the piece of the little couple legs sticking out, those legs are going to go on the LED side. So I'm going to put that right over top. And as I do this, I'm going to just be careful. When I heat up this metal pad, it'll heat up the solder on the side and it'll sink. And just make sure that they stay nice and lined up. It doesn't get twisted. Heat that up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, you gotta be careful because it does take a second to cool, at which point it can shift there like it just did on me. Okay, now it's in place. And the same thing on this side now. This is tight, right? You got your light bulbs, you got your little other components, so you want to make sure you don't scorch anything too much on the way. It's going to come in just the right angle here. Okay. Solder bonded to the board there? I think so. So apply a little bit more heat. Sometimes adding a touch of solder can help it all just band together there. There we go. I can feel it kind of drop. Oh, get back down there, you pork. Okay. Oh, look, this is on. Got a little bubble on top, but it's connected underneath straight through, so it should be good. Just gotta clean it up. Bit of aesthetics. There we go. Okay. Well, if we get through that, we're in good shape. That's the trickier bit there. Okay, now we do the switch. You can turn the switch on and off of the switch here. So that'll slide switch. And again, it's gonna be one of the parts that's easy to fall through. So I'm gonna use a little tape to hold her in place. Okay. Here we go. It's all on. Those look good to me. Great. Now let's just trim those legs. They're a little longer than they need to stay there. These are a little bit firmer pieces to cut. There we go. 2, 3. It doesn't look quite pear-like. See, I got a little tiny gap there. So same thing, I'm just going to heat those joints and push it down my thumb a little bit. Better thing to do than to fix it afterwards was after I did the first one, I should have done a double check, make sure it's still flush. There we go, I can feel it shift a little bit. That looks a little bit straighter. Solder joints still seem to be a good jaw spot. Okay. Now I'm going to put this little dial in. This little dial's handy. It allows you to adjust the sensitivity of the light switch. So either how close or far you need to be, or in lighter, dark environments, which way to go. Now this only really fits in one way. It's a 3-legged prong. So pop that through. Okay, so flush the board. And the tape didn't do me too well there. I'm going to spin a little bit of a bend to these legs here. So again, stop it from falling through. Okay, I'll trim these off. Making good progress here, folks. Getting near the back end of the build. So, got all our components mostly in. I'm going to start using the wire, getting the wire set up here in a sec. So, let's put the battery in. Now, these batteries, you know, your 2032s, these are not uncommon batteries. You even see them sometimes at dollar stores now, these little fellas. Now, the one you buy in a dollar store going to last you quite as long, maybe not. But it's a relatively inexpensive and ubiquitous battery here, coin cell. Okay, and stay positive, positive side up. Snap it in there. Okay. There we go. So it's recommending I adjust the sensor as shown. So I can do that. Yeah, so kind of about, say, 11 o'clock if facing the right way. So it should be, if I cover that sensor, here's my test. I cover the sensor. Oh, see my light bulb coming up. So yay, looks like my circuit's working. But, we want to put this in a case, make it a little more useful to people. So I'm going to get my cable ready for it. Now, I have a very long mono cable here, which is fantastic. What I like about that is I can cut it in half, and then I have, a cable for the next time I'm building a switch. And you can sometimes find these cables at dollar stores, electronic stores for about $1 or $2. Let's save that winding joy. So what I do is I take the two ends. Okay, that's great. Stretch it all out. It's quite the cable. It's got to be 12 feet. Yeah, I'm not in screen here. That's okay. It's going to be quite long. I can cut it a little shorter here. Okay, and cut my cable in half. One end. Now, inside my mono cable, and if you're wondering how to tell if it's a mono cable or not, you can see by the number of rings. There's one ring there. Your headphone jack will have, or your headphones and microphone have like 3. So this is mono. It's just one cable there. Okay, so I'm going to take off a couple centimeters of material with my wire strippers here. And if you're unsure of the gauge of the wire strippers, my areas, start with the largest. And if it doesn't work, you can always go smaller. But if you cut, now this is a long cable. I got a lot of room to make an error and cut again. So this looks like a couple centimeters to me. There you go. Now this isn't uncommon on a mono cable where you have a bunch of strands for one end and then one shielded cable for the other. So I'm going to take all these little strands here, pull them aside, and twist them up. Now, as I strip the other end of this internal wire, I only want to do half of it. I don't want to go to the bottom because I don't want this to short out. I don't want this to connect here. And then I won't use my circuit, right? So, my hand going over is triggering it. Yay, it's working, it's eager. Okay, so I'm going to take off about, half of this lead that I have here. Okay, about a centimeter, give or take. This is going to be a much smaller, probably about a 22 gauge is quite common in these cables. Let's see. So 22 right here on my wire strippers. Oh, a little smaller. That's good. I'm going to give myself a little longer space there to work with. Beautiful. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put some solder along these cables, kind of get them primed and ready. Make it a little easier to get into the board. So the way I do that is I have a little additional solder to my tip here. There's a little gloopy and I can just kind of paint it on. Same thing here. Paint that on. And it actually helps take all those little strands and bind them together. Here we go. Great. Oops. No need to be shy, little cable. Come back up here at my table. There we go. Copy that. Okay. Okay, now I'm putting these onto my board here. Let's turn my switch off. Okay. So these are going to come into my board. One's going to go more through this hole and one through that hole. And then keep the shielded one for the farther hole and use this one here for the part that's sort of up. So actually, I point to this blue piece as in the instruction actually kind of points to where the unshielded one will go. Just going to bend this through. Now it might be a little gloopy. Mine doesn't quite fit through because of the additional solder there. So the instructions actually recommend that, once you do that, you can trim off a little bit of the top. Make life a little bit easier to get through. Bend it down a bit. Alright, finally got it in there. I paused the video so you didn't have to watch me mutter get that through. Now, my cable here is just long enough to get out of that other hole, so this might be a little tricky here. But I don't want to block this hole. That's going to be a screw hole where, for my final sort of assembly bit. So I'm going to try to get this through a hole. And I got a bit of glue there, so I'm going to try to strain that piece out. There you go. So I can get it through the hole. And actually, now that I got this cable in place, just in case I drop it, which I am prone to do with parts and components, I'm just going to tape this in so that it doesn't go away anywhere on me, so I'm not soldered it through on the other side. That gives me a little more freedom with my fingers to get this final wire here, this fella, through that hole. Okay. Okay, so I got that through, just barely there. Might add a little solder on the top to kind of help give it some. And I want to make sure, again, I'm not blocking that hole. It's very close. So I'm going to tack it down through over here to kind of keep it in. And then I can kind of finesse it around before I lose that hole. So I just believe it did just pop out just a little bit. Let's get that back in there. Luck. There we go. Solder that in before the moment passes. Okay, just a little bit of solder on there. Let's do it proper now. Make sure that, with all your wires and stuff here, you're not burning the wire. Touch your iron, because the iron will melt the wire. There we go. Let's get this piece in here. Still. Clean that up here in a sec. Let's get this tape out of the way. Should be in place now. Okay. So I got some extra wire there, which will slip in a sec, but it's nice and bonded all the way around there, which is great. Do the same right here. Oops. Get me into shot there a little bit better. Okay. Now, this is barely on there on this side, so I'm going to add a little bit of solder on this side, a little bonus step right here, just to help keep that connection strong, tight, especially as those wires are thin. I'll bond it. And you can see it's very close to it's actually blocking the screw hole just a little bit. Should be okay. Good news, I'm just going to push my needle nose pliers just over here, just to get it just a little bit out of the way of that, so that we're in a good spot. There we go. Okay. That's definitely, in my opinion, the most difficult little spot. Getting that in there and in a nice little spot. Now, what I don't want to have happen is when I pull on that piece for it to get pulled out, because it's thin wires, not super strong. So what I want to make sure is when I pull on this piece, it doesn't rip those wires out. So we do have a handy little zap strap. You can find it at your dollar stores or whatever. Yeah. So okay. And we want to make sure we put this zap strap piece on the right way, because we don't want it to block our enclosure. Okay, so I'm going to put it so the black cable remains to the right of the zip tie. So here we go. It's going to put it under, through this hole, it's on the PCB board here. Okay. Back up around and through. Okay. Okay. And as I pull this tight, I want the head out of the way of the main board so it doesn't bother my enclosure. Okay. So then I'll leave this sort of head over to this side of it. Right on top there. There we go. And on my board, a little bit turned up here so it's more on the top. And that'll just help it stay snug to the board so the cable gets plugged. Ooh, and I'll trim off this extra connecting piece here. There we go. Trim that. There we go. Okay. Let's probably just twist this around up top a little bit more. There we go. Okay, here we go. Get into the fun stuff at the end. Put it in our 3D printed case. So now you may have some support material. Mine's got a little bit of extra stuff in there that's a little less than desirable. So trim some of these little strands. Support material did not break off quite as cleanly as one would like. We print it with this piece up, get the nice sort of finish on the top, and let in the sort of, rougher piece of the supports be hidden away inside the enclosure. Go. Okay. Now I got a little bit still in here we can clear out. Yeah, there's a little bit on the bottom of my print here. Okay, so this will press fit together as such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this bottom piece, and you can see I got a little groove right there, just a little bit. And that's where I will put my cable and board piece there. You can see this is why I want to be careful where this little piece got to. So it should be all the way to snap fit, but we're about to find out, aren't we? And again, if any of these parts are too long and they look all good, stop me from getting this case closed. So put her in. You can see that these will line up the screw holes sort of underneath in the case. Top of a little extra stuff in here. Just clean it up so it looks pretty. Okay, nice and snug. There we go. Okay, just to keep it that way, I'm gonna put my couple screws in the bottom, and we're there. Where's my screws? Oh, there they are. Right there, so I can't lose them. Oh, there you go. I can feel it snap together as I pull the screw into it. There's one, go halfway, straighten it out in a sec. I might have to adjust those screws here in a sec to get that tighter. As soon as I pushed it apart, might not have got quite all the support material out of the way, but it's just some final assembly stuff. Oh, put that on, get the test, and you can see as I move my hand over, I can adjust the sensitivity with this little switch here, with the dial, to make it less sensitive. But there we go. We built our light proximity switch.